bad news for the upcoming Winter Games. More than a dozen events have been cancelled. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The upcoming Ontario Winter Games are a month away, and already they're starting to look very different than when the Games were announced.
More than half of the sporting events have been cancelled due to travel-related issues. Josh Morano's been following the story and joins us in studio with the details. Josh.
Thanks, Ryan. The plan was to have 27 different sports on the docket, but that's now down to just 13. Flight cancellations played a key factor, impacting the overall price for teams traveling to the city. That means more than 1,500 athletes and coaches won't make the trip.
But I think in this case, we really do need to open up additional routes to Thunder Bay that would help us host larger events.
On the 50th anniversary of the last time the Ontario Winter Games were in Thunder Bay, the event has seen a major setback. After 2 years of planning, 14 sports have opted out of the Games, including downhill, freestyle, and alpine skiing, weightlifting, and wheelchair curling, some due to a lack of transportation over the last month. With the athletes' ages ranging from 12 to 18 years old, Games organizer Matthew Lawrence says the toughest part of all this is not giving some the chance to compete or the opportunity to play in that next level of competition.
I think it's always disappointing. I think for a community like Thunder Bay, we travel so often down to Southern Ontario to compete. And so it's a big deal for us when sports come up here and let us compete on home turf. It's great for the kids, really helps build sport within the community.
The Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Sport allocated an additional $500,000 for travel, more than they usually do for participants when the Games are held in Southern Ontario. The city has also chipped in $400,000 for the Games itself. Chair of the Games Organizing Committee, Barry Stribe, is still optimistic and looking at the positives of what this means for the exposure of these young athletes and how the city will still make the most of the event.
The community is coming through. They're getting excited about this. So that's what we really focus on. It's like, what are we going to do with who we have coming now? That's our job. And we're going to do this team that we have, our Games Organizing Committee, amazing individuals, and they're dedicated to making sure that happens.
We're going to be at 11 different venues around town, so I'm hoping just the fact that we are spread out across the community will really help to generate a buzz and excitement around the Games.
Opening ceremonies will take place on Friday, February 16th, and again on the 23rd at Fort William Historical Park. The events are open to the public, free of charge. Josh Morano, TBT News.
A man is dead after a single vehicle collision last night in Dryden. It happened just before 10 o'clock. Superior North EMS, OPP, and the Dryden Fire Department all responded. The victim, a 56-year-old Dryden man, was pronounced dead in hospital. The investigation continues.
An OPP commercial vehicle enforcement along Highway 17 has yielded some shocking results. Police stopped 26 tractor trailers near Ignace on Tuesday, and all but one of them were being operated without the proper paperwork required in Ontario. The OPP issued 25 provincial offence notices as well as 5 warnings. All of the drivers did pass the alcohol screening test.
Ignace Council has suspended all activities of its Nuclear Willingness Committee indefinitely.
The committee is mandated to help the municipality decide whether to host a waste site for Canada's spent nuclear fuel. It's a decision they're expected to make before the end of the year. Lee Noonan has more.
Ignace Council passed a resolution suspending the activities of its Nuclear Willingness Committee in a closed session of their January 4th meeting. The committee was established to support the community in deciding whether to host a deep geological repository for nuclear waste. In a written statement, Council emphasized that the suspension is temporary while Council seeks new members for the committee, saying the decision was made to, quote, improve the quality, depth, and skill set of the committee's representation and to improve, align, and clarify the roles and responsibilities. We spoke with longtime committee member Roger Dufault, who said current committee members were not consulted and have not been formally notified of the suspension, adding that the committee was convened only once last year and have yet to elect a chair for this term of council. In a written statement, a spokesperson for the Nuclear Waste Management Organization said the process to establish community willingness is an internal municipal matter and that the NWMO doesn't feel the suspension will delay the decision or impact the decision-making process. That decision is expected to be made this summer. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
A group of Northern Ontario NDP members is demanding justice for First Nations people amid what it calls an ongoing pattern of tragic systemic failures. That's part of a joint statement that included Northwestern MPP, Saul Mamakwa and Lise Vaugeois. It comes in response to the death of 21-year-old Jenna Ostberg following allegations that several domestic disturbance calls went unanswered by Thunder Bay police. Vaugeois says the incident is part of a disturbing pattern of violence against women, girls, and gender-diverse Ontarians. She's calling the provincial government to take action and draw more attention to the issues.
Make sure our organizations are being supported. And I'm also looking forward to meeting with Chief Fleury, hopefully also with the other people who are working in the Coordinating Committee on Gender-Based Violence, so that we can really look at the system-wide problems, find out what's happening, why would people not feel safe calling police for support.
The Special Investigations Unit is still investigating Ostberg's death to determine any criminality on the part of Thunder Bay Police.
Lakehead Elementary teachers are the first in the province to come to a local agreement with their school board.
If ratified, it'll mean the end of a negotiation that's left teachers without a contract for months. Jaden Billick has the details.
It's been 18 months since public elementary teachers in the province last had a contract. Teachers signed a deal with the province just before Christmas and are waiting for an arbiter to finalize salary terms. Meanwhile, a second tier of negotiation is taking place between teachers and school boards at the local level.
First in the province to settle a local agreement, and so with two-tiered bargaining, the province typically deals with the financial side of things, whereas we deal with workers' rights in our community.
David Paddington, president of the Lakehead Elementary Teachers of Ontario, the union's local bargaining unit, says he's excited to present teachers with the agreement, particularly with their progress on issues like prep time payback, parent-teacher interview time, and travel time.
These are big things for teachers that will be very well received, and I think they're appropriate. People's time is extremely valuable, especially in the teaching world where things are minute to minute.
While the bargaining took more than a year at the provincial level, Paddington says teachers here at the Lakehead Public School Board came to an agreement very quickly.
And locally speaking, it was, I don't want to say it was an easy negotiation, but it was a very fair negotiation on both sides. I think we have such a positive relationship with our daily events that happen in schools that teachers will be very pleased.
While he says other school boards could still be in negotiation well into next year, Paddington expects teachers here will ratify the deal when it's presented on the 17th, and local teachers here could have a new bargaining agreement settled by next week. Jaden Billick, TBT News.
Now, this comes as the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario is sounding the alarm about staffing shortages across the province. The Federation says the shortages are leading to cancelled classes, burnout, and mounting pressure on teachers and support staff. It's calling on the Ford government to improve retention and recruitment by providing funding for smaller classes and access to mental health supports for students and staff.
We've been speaking to this government about the working conditions of our members, of educators. We've been talking about the level of violence. Our members are leaving the profession in droves because of it. We're talking about the unleashing of curriculum without the supports, without training. We're talking about the lack of professional development.
And the Ontario NDP is also weighing in. A statement from the party reads in part, this government has fought education workers instead of ensuring students have the support they need. Now we have a system that is on the brink. This should be a wake-up call for Ford's Conservatives. They can choose to fix this instead of sitting on billions of dollars.
After a long wait, Thunder Bay residents can finally hit more local outdoor rinks.
Over the past week, the city's been able to open almost half of them, with plans for even more to be in operation by the weekend. Jessica Clement has that story.
The more seasonal colder weather Thunder Bay is seeing means residents now have more opportunities for some outdoor winter fun. That, of course, includes the city's outdoor skating rinks.
Weather has been more supportive for flooding, although we have had a number of snow events, which has kind of slowed things down for flooding. But today is our temperatures are proper, and we're making some more progress. So we have made some advancements since last week, definitely.
Parks and Open Spaces manager Corey Halverson says currently out of the 31 rinks, around a dozen are now open. This includes the rinks at Carrick Park, Brent Park, and the site at Prince Arthur's Landing, which initially opened at the beginning of December. Skating has always been one of the major winter pastimes in the city, and Halverson says it's great to finally see the rinks in use again.
People have been excited. I've been out and seen a lot of people on the rinks using them, so it's very nice to see that the season has arrived for outdoor skating and hockey.
Halverson adds that this week's weather is looking promising, and they're hoping to have most rinks open by the weekend.
By this weekend, there should maybe be one or two sites on either side of town that aren't quite ready due to the grade of the ice surface, and they need a little bit more ice buildup. But for the most part, we should be up and running based on what the weather conditions look like right now.
Updates for what rinks are open can be found on the city's website. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Yeah, the recent temperatures have been a lot more conducive to keeping those outdoor rinks open. And Fiona, that's because we're finally seeing some seasonal temperatures. I guess it's been a little while now, but still, winter definitely got off to a late start for us.
Yes, it did. And today in Thunder Bay, we saw the temperatures hit seasonal levels for the daytime high. The overnight lows are still actually rather mild for this time of year. We didn't see a whole lot of movement in temperatures over last night's low of -9 and a wind chill of -14, but that's because things are cooling down over the last 24 hours. So we hit a high of -7, wind chills minimal, almost non-existent because the winds were so light from the northwest, 2 to 10 kilometers per hour with a few brief periods of light snow. Now, if we take a look at what's been moving through the region, most of it is to the south of us, but we have had a few pockets of snow in other areas. And as we take a look at what's happening at this hour, well, we've got definitely milder temperatures to the south. Now, Fort Frances had a mild overnight low of -9 as well. They've topped out with a high of -6. Wind chills are hovering around -12, and that's with light snow. That was the case earlier today through much of the North Shore and into Sault Ste. Marie. They're seeing similar temperatures at this hour. They did have a little bit more wind, so some light snow turned into a bit of blowing snow, but they're currently under cloudy skies. As you head further north, though, it was much cooler last night, and today, right now, wind chills are ranging from about -20 in Red Lake to -22 through Armstrong and Greenstone. So it is definitely cooler, windier, and that cooler air is going to be sinking down into the region. Here in the city of Thunder Bay tonight, we're looking at a low of -14 and wind chills of -20, which is still above normal for this time of year, but you can see things are definitely cooling off under mainly cloudy skies. And as we head into the second half of the week, as Ryan said, winter seems to definitely be settling in. We are looking at more seasonal temperatures for Thursday, but we're going to see them fall for the weekend and then minimal chance of snow into the weekend. So it's looking fairly dry, but definitely cooler. And I'll have more details on that, what that will look like in your forecast later on in the news hour.
Okay, Fiona, well, I'm going to have to turn up my thermostat a little bit more because I've noticed the last few days I've been turning it up a little bit. Yeah. A couple more, it has to go. Okay. Well, turning to national news now, unrest continues in Ecuador with kidnapping, shootouts, and killings. We'll have all those details for you as your Wednesday News Hour continues.
Officials have arrested more than 70 people, saying they hoped the forcefulness of their response to violence would send a message to citizens that they can trust their national police.